All right, welcome everyone to another terrific conversation here on Dave Cooper Live. We are welcoming back Amy Marks, VP Industrialized Construction and Event Ambassador to upcoming epic event of the year, Advancing Prefabrication. Wondering why Advancing Prefabrication is the place to find the leaders leveraging cutting-edge industrialized strategies and techniques to build faster, safer, and to a higher quality across all projects? Looking to refine your strategy and the tactics required to thrive in the evolving ecosystem of the built environment? In this next normal of digitization, productization, and convergence, greatness awaits. Are you ready? And what does Amy Marks have to say about who will win and who will lose as we continue to evolve and thrive within the ecosystem of the built environment? Digital tech, more products, fewer prospects, better data, less waste, convergence. What does it all really mean? Well, get ready because you don't want to miss this fast-paced, high-energy conversation with the Queen of Prefab. But first, we have to thank our sponsors. We are only able to deliver these informative conversations because of them. Carson Holmquist of the team at Stream Logistics. They are experts in high-stake freights and perfect choice for projects with timelines and specific delivery sequence. Shipments with high complexity and unique constraints. The new methods of construction need new transportation solutions, and they are up for the challenge. Reach out to the team at streamlogistics.com. I am telling you now, they do not deliver like the old school delivery companies. They are using high tech, and they are protecting your most valuable assets the entire way through to this set. Also, a big thank you to Combilift. We love Combilift. Combilift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, an acknowledged leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. More than 50,000 Combilift units have been sold in over 85 countries since Combilift was established in 1998. Combilift has a solution for any material handling requirements within the offsite construction industry, and that's why their mantra is all together better. Contact Paul Short or visit combilift.com to learn more. All right, without further ado, let's hop into it with Amy Marks, the Queen of Prefab. Amy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dave Cooper?
Dude, I'm excited. It's almost been a year since you were on the show last time. How cool is this?
I know. A lot has happened, right?
Yeah, a ton has happened out there. So, Amy, before we jump into this, why don't you give us your 1 minute elevator pitch of who Amy Marks, the Queen of Prefab, is, and then we'll hop into our conversation.
Sure.
Go for it.
I'm really lucky that I get to work at Autodesk every day because I get to work with some of our largest and our smallest clients and what they're trying to accomplish in this built environment, in the new world, new way of working. And I also get to help inform both company strategy and product strategy across the board to really enable platform thinking and all the workflows across many of our different types of software, but also really there for a business reason with our companies trying to make sure that they have great business outcomes. That's really my focus.
I love it. Love it. So Queen of Prefab. I mean, this is a name, right, that was given to you, if I understand, and you have surely lived up to it. How did the name Queen of Prefab come around?
Yeah, it's so funny. I think actually we were in Asia and they thought I was going to be a man walking out on stage, just having corresponded with me. And maybe they thought I was the assistant that was corresponding with them. But he said, where's your boss? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, where's the man that's going to speak? And I was like, no, it's me. And so he went out all flustered and he called me the Queen of Prefab. And I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, I'm going to just take it and run with it. Like, let's just use it. And my friends used to laugh at it. And I think, I don't know, our latest YouTube, I think, has almost 4 million views on episode 4 for the show of Queen of Prefab. So it's like something that became sort of funny has actually become, my brand and the moniker that Autodesk, I just saw an article this weekend, Autodesk's Queen of Prefab. They just call me by that name now. And it's really been great, actually.
Well, it's befitting, honestly. I mean, you're all over the place, your social media, you're really working hard to advance this industry, and you're doing it in a good light, and you're shedding a light on everybody that's out there that's doing it in a good light as well. Not only with what you're doing at Autodesk, but also, with your shows and the Queen of Prefab. So congratulations on all your success there. I really do love watching it.
Thank you. I love seeing my friends in the audience out there, Mitch Lund and Joel Hutchins. And I love that people are coming from all over the world actually to come and see your show today, Dave. So this is great. Hey guys out there.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us. Listen, Amy, we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. So get your tweets on if you're out there, and you better be tweeting Amy Marks, Queen of Prefab, right now. And then after the show, go to our show. If you're not subscribed to YouTube, and subscribe. That way, if you couldn't watch it today, you can watch it tomorrow. And for those of you who are not watching this live, put questions in the comments. We will still answer them for you and get back to you. So we appreciate it. All right, Amy, what has changed since the last time since you've been on the show almost a year ago? In fact, what has changed? What hasn't changed? What needs to change? That's a whole lot to unpack just by itself.
Yeah, I mean, wow, last year I did 70 keynotes, if that tells you anything. So the year before was about the same. But I think what's really interesting now is that what's gone on that's differently is people are really starting to understand that because of convergence, business models have really changed. It's not enough to just, think of yourself as only an architect or only a contractor or only an owner. Convergence has happened. It's making us question business models. I mean, at Autodesk, some of the amazing things that are going on is we've made big investments this last year and moving forward into manufacturing informed design, something I feel very passionate about for the last couple of years. And, we're doing some great stuff in AR, VR and digital twin, as well as really the platform story. I think that's really important. That I think the investments that are being made across the ecosystem have changed because of the business models changing. And we're seeing more holistic understanding that everything needs to be connected and we have to digitize. So that's been interesting this last year.
Yeah. So let's talk about digitization. Why is it so important now in your mind? So when we talk about waste, physical, digital, carbon, and also connecting the stakeholders, how does that all play into digitization?
Yeah, it's great for us. Like the way that I look at it at Autodesk is that I was lucky enough to sit on the steering committee for VPs for sustainability. And when you think about it, really the way I think about it is digital waste exponentially is leading to physical waste right now. So every time we draw something that can never be made or draw something that has to go out to bid, that someone's got to figure out that 90% of the people drawing it then and bidding it are never going to actually get the work. We have to really flip the script, right? We have to think about how we're informing design by things that can actually be made and really making sure that we're not just stretching things a foot too long or thinking a capacity that's very different that we don't have, that we can make it. I believe that digital waste is the key to really eliminating that so that we can get rid of 40% of the construction waste in our landfills. So, I mean, think about it really, right? Like I'm the queen of prefab. When I renovated my home, this last year, I had a dumpster in front of my yard and I couldn't get a prefabricated bathroom as a consumer. I could only, go and buy materials where half my, like literally half my new bathroom was in that dumpster and all of my old bathroom was in that dumpster. So I think dumpster upon dumpster upon dumpster, what if we were able to really understand the products that were available in the world and be able to consume that in our designs, knowing the availability, knowing the sustainability of those pieces and parts and how they interact, sort of put our parameters in to pick the right pieces and parts so that we never had to throw anything away in the trash again. I mean, really, that's the goal here, that we eliminate digital waste and hopefully then eliminate most of physical waste that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, it just boggles my mind. And talking about dumpsters, Amy, you might have to join Jerry McCaughey and I. We're gonna do a show called Dumpster Diving with Jerry and Dave, and we're gonna hop in the dumpsters. And we're just gonna throw the waste out, and dollar symbols are gonna pop up, and then we're gonna have Ben Hershey sitting there as the accountant on the outside, adding up all of the waste. I mean, because that's exactly what it is.
Well, and what's so funny about it? Think about this. There are so many authorities out there having jurisdiction to certify things or give us certifications. I can't think of one off the top of my head that gives you points or certification for waste avoidance, right? It's all about waste sorting. It's not about never having waste. And so we have to start really, rewarding people for never having the waste. And we know that in industrialized construction, we've been saying that for years. So we have to avoid even getting it into that dumpster in the first place.
Well, I mean, that's right. Listen, we can send autonomous vehicles to space and back. We can surely figure out how to build better. It makes zero sense to me. So how do we bring the stakeholders together? How do we connect them, Amy? Like, what's your thoughts on how do you do that? How do we make this grow faster and come together quicker?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been writing my book for too long now. It needs to be finished, to be honest, but it's about the innovator's deception, right? So Clayton Christensen wrote about the innovator's dilemma, how you could chip away at the bottom and you could displace the incumbents. We can't do that because we're not an industry. We have to stop saying this is an industry. I feel strongly about calling it an ecosystem of many different industries in the built environment, right? And because it's not that we don't know how to do these things or that we don't have smart people or we don't want to digitize. And it's that people have been making money off of the silos of waste for many, many years. Our contracts are built on that waste. Our procurement, methodologies are built on that waste. The way we communicate, the automation of the software is built on that waste. We have to stop creating that waste. And in order to do that, you have to change your business model. And the people that are forcing us, aside from governments and the interactions with ESG and things like that around the world, but the people that are truly changing this are not the little bottom ups. We need them still. I see my friends out there that have small companies, but we need the top down change of the largest of the large to demand change, to make sure that the data gets connected for certainty so that we don't have that waste, to make sure that they change the way we're contracting, to change the way that we're designing, to understand how we can actually utilize things like I saw my friend Joel wrote about BIM and digitalization. At the end of the day, you've got to, I love loaded question. You know that, Joel. By the way, Joel calls me his work mom. We can tell you that when you're old, you're not a work wife anymore. You become an advisor like a work mom. And, Joel and I have talked about this. BIM is great, but you have to inform the eye with intelligence. You can model things down to the fastener level detail. If they can't be built, it's not going to help you. So who's going to make that change? The people that have the most to gain from the top down, right? They have to put pressure on us to connect things, to have certainty. We say we want predictive insights and data. That's very difficult when you're going to do, let's say, a data center where you have, 100 contractors downstream and all the manufacturers downstream of them and all the distribution methodologies. How are you going to get that data to the front to make sure it's usable so that you can use it next time for insights? And that doesn't happen from bottom up. It happens from top down, right? So we've been talking about that a long time, Joel. You know that.
Oh yeah, I love Henry's comment here as well, right? for some strange reason, possibly because I am intimidated by intelligent, loquacious women, I didn't originally appreciate how clever Amy is. Totally nailed it with the data manufacturer. Design is a slice of data, is the pie. And I you know what? Henry's a super smart guy. He works globally. You have a global audience, and I think that's awesome and amazing. All right, so Amy, let's talk a little bit further. Let's get in to productization. We've talked about the red shoe, right? Who's listening? Who gets it? Where is it happening?
Well, everyone's really listening. That's one of the reasons why I really love the Advancing Prefab show. And that's not a shameless plug. I feel like that show has taken on my personality from the very beginning, in some ways, and the personality of those people that came in the beginning. And they were really having open conversations about what is stopping them from making things in the most efficient way, right? And I used to use, again, I'm a woman. I love being a woman. Even though I was a rugby player for 15 years as a woman, I don't take out my cleats. I don't take out my boots. I take out my red shoe. And, I keep coming back to the fact that we are designing things as if we've never built them before, as if we don't know what, digitizing an ecosystem means in order to monetize it with products. And we're not special. That's why we're dead last on the digitization list. It's that, we've stopped this from happening because our business models have really stopped us. But that's changing now.
Right.
So who is really listening? I think the serial owners, and you're going to hear me say some names of types of companies that you'll hear me talk about at Advancing Prefab. We've changed from like an owner that used to have one building to a serial owner that has 30 data centers to build or 100 hospitals or 20 apartment buildings to build. So those people are changing things because they are looking for certainty, not so much savings anymore. They want to understand how they can influence the playbook of how the data is actually going to be used in order to get the most efficient outcome for their business. By the way, most of those guys make money on what goes through that building or who rents that building, not in the building itself. It's like we're letting that thing stop us from doing the most important thing. So you're seeing a lot of the serial owners taking control. I mean, you're seeing a lot of our building product manufacturers that are already productized. They want to move to the front of the process. They're becoming more like solution aggregators, right? They see the benefit of actually having larger and larger aggregated solutions up front that are not at the downstream of the subcontractors and the contractors and the distributors. They've got really cool assemblies that they're integrating these solutions up front. And then you're going into those system and product integrators and our makers, our subcontractors and our general contractors that are either becoming manufacturers or they want to be integrators of this manufacturing. And then I think the hardest persona that's actually adjusting right now, but has the most to gain, and also there are a few really great ones out there, is our architects and engineers are becoming more generative designers. They are more data dependent on the other three groups, right? They're taking the data from the owners. They have to understand what has been made through the data, through connecting it, not through their heads, and being able to push it out to the makers. So they're highly dependent on other people's data, but they're taking their domain knowledge and they're productizing that into technology, into things like Forge apps, into things where they use the parameters of things like generative design to truly help people understand what they should be designing with what parameters, the best way to use this data and to get their end outcome. So I'm seeing it from all over the place, to be honest. And I think
Yeah.
that's important to know that sort of everyone, by the way, everyone's on the bandwagon. It's not these small little quirky modular companies anymore. At our show, it's all the bigs of the bigs. I
Yeah.
hardly ever run into a box builder at our show, although there are some, but it's really everybody. And I do think that they've recognized through the McKinsey report and other things like why they're either having an opportunity or they're in jeopardy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the bigs of the bigs also they have bigger gains to lose as well by not becoming more optimized, by not productization. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a big focus. And I think that's exactly right. That's why we're seeing the commercial side of this space really start to take
Yeah.
off much faster than the residential.
Hey, Dave, let's take Chris's question because I want to answer it. It's kind of buried in the middle of that comment. So don't confuse standard prefabrication elements with productization, right? So there is a difference. When people say standard, that just means I can build with that thing in that way. So things that are really important about this conversation is that, that's like taking one-to-one mapping. I made a product in this, I put it in my design like that. What we're really enabling at Autodesk and other places as well, other technology that's out there, is one to many mapping, one model to many iterations, still manufacturable to that one model. So you don't necessarily need to be standard. When people hear that word, they get scared, like you can have everything as long as it looks like this. No, you can have everything within that product range as long as you design it to stay within the manufacturing constraints and rules for that particular product. You don't make it too long. I always
Yeah.
say too short, too wide, different capacities till you move to the next product, right?
Right.
So I think don't confuse standardization with understanding the rules and constraints of productization enabled through the cloud that allow you to have, anything you want as long as it's within the manufacturability of that particular product. Yes, Chris, we're on the same page.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I love that you can talk and read at the same time. So if you don't know Chris, Amy, you should know Chris. Chris owns many manufacturing facilities over in Poland. And honestly, you guys are on the same wavelength, and I think there's a lot that you could do together for sure.
I love it. By the way, you'll know if you're trying to sell how you've productized things with your mouth or your feet, it's not working anymore. We have to stop doing that. If you think I can keep going to the front of this process and telling people the right details to start making, forget it. We have to
Yeah.
digitize those rules and constraints and put them in the cloud for anybody to make them accessible. That's really important.
For sure. All right, listen, everybody. If you're joining us, Amy Marks, the Queen of Prefab, is on live right now, and we will be taking your questions in about 10 minutes. If they're convergence, if the questions are important to what we're already talking about, then we'll try and fit them in. But we want to get through the entire show. Put a Q next to your question so we can find it quickly. All right, convergence, bringing high value teams together. Amy, so we saved this kind of as the last topic, because then we're going to talk about advancing prefab and how much time people are going to be able to get with you at the show that's coming up, which is going to be a lot of fun. But convergence, you mentioned it a few times in our conversation. How do we bring high value teams together to make this happen?
First, listen, you got to digitize. You cannot do this with paper. You can't do this with your mouth and your feet and paper. It's not working like that anymore. So I always say to people, look, convergence is not it's been happening out there for a long time. It's the merging of things like technology. I mean, this is no longer just my phone. It's my phone. It's my map. It's my, at one point it was my dating app. It's my entertainment, all that stuff, right? It's no longer just a phone. So technology has converged. Process is converging. That's what the data for manufacturing and assembly is telling us. That's why we do things, and we want to do things like design assist and design build and manufacturing informed design. We also have industries converging, right? We're seeing that all over, not just in our space, but we're seeing complete industries converging. Look, when I used to build data centers, we used to say subsea and data centers were converging. The same is going with construction and manufacturing. The same thing with design and manufacturing, right? All that is changing and it changes our business models. And if you haven't changed your business model, look, that's what's putting people in jeopardy. That's why if you read the McKinsey report, and everyone likes to quote, yes, 45% of this is moving towards industrialized construction. If you don't read that chart right, that is the people in red are in jeopardy and the people that are in blue have some benefit. There is a tremendous amount of value up for grabs right now, a tremendous amount. So if you change your business model and you're thinking about digitizing and enabling it through technology and no longer through our mouth and our feet, right? Or paper, you're going to get there. So convergence is happening. It's why we have evidence of industrialized construction more than anything, and it's changing the way in which we work.
Yeah, it is definitely. Let's take a comment from a good friend here. We got Tim Sims. I don't know if you know Tim or not. He says hello from Cabana Beach here in Cozumel, not in the treehouse. He does work out of a treehouse, believe it or not. Thanks for all you do, Amy. What BIM digitization crossover are you seeing between aerospace, automotive, and construction?
That's a great question. Look, for many, many years, people used to say, we need to build buildings like Boeing builds airplanes. Yes, that's true, except it's a little bit more complex than that. I think the crossover we're seeing is you heard me talk about productization, but we also need to start thinking about the data that's associated with those piece parts. The fact that we have IoT sensors now that can be enabled through the entire life cycle of that piece part that are going to give us true digital twins, right? So not just for the equipment and things in like our car manufacturing buildings, but the buildings themselves and how they interact with that equipment. The same thing what we're seeing in lots of places where it's the manufacturers that are making things and they've sort of split it up into like equipment has a digital twin and the building might have no, it's all one and the same. And so we have to start looking at components as pieces of equipment and decoupling process into product. Like again, it's a little bit too simplistic to say we want to build buildings like Boeing builds airplanes. It gave us a good model in some ways, but it's not everything, right? We have to start thinking a little bit differently about this. It's a little bit more complex. Great lesson, a little bit more complex, but anyone that's doing any kind of manufacturing these days, whether it's pharmaceutical or semiconductor or, aerospace, when we're actually thinking about the factory and what goes on in that space, how the building itself is interacting with the equipment, how we can understand what these buildings are doing over time. When you have 10 of these buildings, 20 of these buildings, you want to understand when you're building the next one, what are the best pieces and parts in this with these parameters? Listen, the architects truly become free and they become the designers they want it to be in real life, setting the parameters in their domain knowledge of what they know to get the right combination of pieces and parts for lots of these more complex buildings, right?
Sure. Well, we had a company on, I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks ago, and that's exactly it. The whole building was set up to collect the data to become more efficient on how that building not only is put together, but is used and lived in on a regular basis. And I think that's a big thing. Are you seeing a trend where they're starting to really look at the science and the data behind the buildings and how to optimize the build? I mean, down to where like an electrical outlet may go versus, maybe nobody's using the one in the corner. But they're using this one all the time. Do we move that to this side? Are you seeing that?
I think we say we want that a lot. Yeah. And I think some big serial owners are getting parts of that. Mm-hmm. The thing that's actually holding us back is that if you really we just mapped this out and I showed it at the data center world keynote. If you look at the actual amount of companies that are downstream that actually produce the data about these pieces and parts as you're building something, getting clean data to the front of the process is pretty hard. So it's one, by the way, I work in Autodesk in forming a Convergence consulting group that works to consult with our big owners, big contractors, big architects, to help them understand how this data gets cleanly from the front of the process to the contractors and to the building product manufacturers, and how to capture that data so it comes back around so that they can actually use it for data insights and predictive analytics. Just saying you want something doesn't mean you can have it. You have to put the really hard work into it actually to get that. So yes, I'm seeing a lot of people wanting that. And I'm seeing a lot of people moving towards consulting with larger organizations to understand how to make this data clean from start to finish. Because ultimately, yes, if you own 30 data centers or 50 pet stores or 100 hospitals, you want to know how that's operating and what pieces and parts are performing better than others, what came on time, what's on back order. So imagine the great thing about prefab and productization is not that it's safe and we build it indoors. We kind of like got stuck on that. It's that it allows you to attach data to that piece part to actually let it travel and across a workflow so that you can identify it and reuse it and improve it. You can't do that if everything you built is different every single time. So it's why I love, the product. Again, like this is a platform. This is my Apple platform, right? It comes with preloaded apps on it, like what Apple builds. But then, like Forge is our operating system. This has its own operating system. Remember, you're going to be able to build lots of different digital connective glue in a platform at Autodesk that's going to help you connect these things, to compute these things. But the key to it is about productization, being able to productize both the physical piece part and the digital workflow to travel with it, to understand its data backbone of, things like cost and reusability and schedule and availability. And I believe that that little data backpack is extensible to things like, I don't know, my friend owns a bunch of, 100 big pet stores. They want to know, how does the pet and the human feel when they walk through that space? What stores are making them feel safer so they're happier and buy more things? Okay, I don't know any architect in the world that has the time to worry about the biometric feedback that we're getting from pets yet. But again, it should be there based on the connection of the data of the combination of pieces and parts that once you productize, you can use things like generative design to figure out. That little data backbone is extensible to any data you want to attach to that wall panel, that bathroom, that skid, whatever it is, that manufactured item. We're just not moving that information up front to inform our design and you make that eye more intelligent. Not we're not doing it. More people need to do more of it. And we need to do that heavy lift to productize and get that data. And then again, work with our bigs to help them understand how they want those workflows to go across. And by the way, by no means do I mean just on our software. I mean on an open platform. I always remind people, Waze is on my Apple phone. It's not owned by Apple. And there's 5 other transportation directional apps on here too. Waze is just the one that I happen to use. That's really what the Forge platform and the platform of Autodesk looks like. It's open for you to build things. We have 3,000 Forge apps right now and 100 a month being built right now. If you're not thinking about that digital glue in your business, where your domain knowledge and expertise comes into play, there's lots of connections to be made. That's more important right now than saying it's just safer to build indoors. We have to move past. It's not enough, guys. We got to move past the boxes and the indoor part.
So, Amy, I mean, you travel the world. You're talking with really big players around the world that are considering moving into this space. What's the one thing that you see their eyes light up when you say this is why we need to build it better? This is why we need to be looking at prefabrication, modular panel, whatever it is you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like most people think I'm a pretty hardcore woman. I gets me very upset when I have to walk past women and children and babies and men that live on the street in other countries. And then I walk into a boardroom and they're like, we can't afford to make these changes. We can't afford not to make these changes. We can't afford not to make these changes from a sustainability aspect, from the fact that we don't have infrastructure for people to live in, have healthcare, get, the digital divide conquered. We have to do this. Like the pressures that are living with us on this planet make it so. And whether you feel that pressure or you're about to feel that pressure, that dissatisfaction should move you to action, show you a vision that's possible, and hopefully get you to do something about this. I think that inspires me. I think it inspires others. I was just with a company talking about, the social expectation that people have when they work with these organizations. Listen, I was making a joke, but not a joke. The other day, I ordered a pair of shoes in November. They were on back order. I got a bunch of understanding of where they were at in the production process, why they were late, and 6 emails on tips I should wear these shoes and what function I should wear them to and what combination of outfits go with these shoes. And by the time my shoes came, I'm already a member of this club of this company that sold me these shoes. We don't even have an expectation that I would know where anything is and where it's coming from. These are shoes. Like this is everywhere but for this space. We have to start having that expectation of experience that we get everywhere else. That's into our own environment, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right, Amy, advancing prefabrication coming up April 26th through the 29th. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what you're going to be speaking about and why the value of this advancing prefabrication is kind of taking center stage moving forward?
Oh my God. We have like way, way over 1,000 people at this point. I think, we're probably shooting into the 1,200 to 1,500 people at this point. I think people really love the offsite facility tours we do. They sell out right away all the time. And this year, people are going to Rosen and Electric, Digital Building Components, and also SurePods. Sometimes they sell out before it seems like the minute these things come out. We're adding some new things this year. So we have an invite only. If you're a CEO or at a high level within your organization, you can actually come to a very specialized day on that Tuesday on the 26th when there's tours going on to really talk about sort of the C-level conversation about transforming your business. This year, there's 7 tracks of specialist content, everything from like owner playbooks and, project management around IC, digital, design optimization, everything from like transforming your fab shop. And yeah, and we have a lot of networking. And even this year, we're doing a market specific focus day. I mean, what am I talking about? Gosh, what am I not talking about? It feels like I'm literally doing with my friend Amanda Gillespie from Facebook. We're doing a talk inside the exhibit hall about data centers and productization and digitization. I'm doing the keynote, of course, in the opening. I'll be speaking at the C-level conference day on Tuesday. I'm also doing a section on manufacturing informed design. I'm doing another fireside chat about the master's level program that we just wrote at Autodesk that's open source to all colleges and universities, as well as all companies. So I'll be doing stuff around the IC curriculum that is a great, great resource for companies that are around there. I don't know. What else am I doing? I have to ask Karen. She's my EA for 16 years. She tells me where to go and what to do. But I feel like I'm doing everything there. And I love that show. It's like I do it as a labor of love. But you will find the biggest customers, biggest owners, biggest architects, biggest GCs and MEP, guys and structure. Everyone is there. Like if you want to go anywhere, that is the show to go to besides AU during the year. It's just the difference is they're just all in one room. Like I feel like they're in one big spot. You can easily talk to people. People just talk and solution. I mean, the people that are doing the exhibit hall booths are amazing. The 4th episode that has the most views was actually filmed there last year. I think that's one of the reasons that people just love meeting all these people, and people are so open to talking and solutioning there. It's like unlike anything I've ever done, in my life, which is why I keep doing that show.
Well, hey, listen, Dave Cooper Live's going to be there on location with his camera. We're going to be doing our live show there, Amy. So it's going to be a lot of fun to be there. We're going to be on location the 27th, 28th, 29th, I believe. So I got to look at my calendar too. But I'd be willing to bet you're going to hopefully find some time to hang out with me.
We're going to hang out, and these guys might get a big surprise. So you better tune in. It's going to be cool.
It is gonna be cool. We have a lot planned, and I want to thank everybody that helped us put that together. And we'll do more of that while we're at the show. So this is going to be a great show. I'm super excited about it, Amy. Not only are you a keynote, but you have some really big keynotes outside of yourself. I mean, the education. The one thing I hear about advanced prefabrication is the education that you get from the leaders in the industry that aren't just talking about it, but they're practitioners of it, and that's a big difference.
Funny? Dave, I got to tell you something. Many people don't know this, but we meet with almost everybody that presents. I sit down with all those companies, and the first thing we tell them is skip over all the stuff we already know. Skip over get right to the meat. And we talk to them, and that's why this conference does so well, is these guys get right to the meat about what they're challenged with, what they're learning, and that's why it's so good. I mean, you're not going to hear the stuff that you hear at other shows like you hear at this show, because we just get right down to it.
Yeah, for sure. So is there a way to join online or watch it after the event on this show? Chris Deros is asking because he's going to WOM in Texas. So I know after seeing this show, he's thinking, well, I want to be there too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this year we're not going digital because we had so many people that came even in person when we did digital last year. So I'm sure, again, wherever you are, there's stuff to be learned. But I feel like if there's anything I can help you with after the fact, or if there's any information that you want, I'm always available on all the LinkedIn, all my Twitter and Instagram. Just send me a quick message. But if you're not coming this year, you are really missing out. I think there's 3 or 4 pages literally of speakers that are high powered, better than anyone I've ever seen, even in the years we've done the show. I mean, you've got guys like Disney out there, and you have people Google and Facebook coming, and you've got just unbelievable people that come to this show, and all the general contractors and all the big owners. There's nothing like it I've ever seen. And I'm really appreciative of all my colleagues and friends around the world. We've had the government of Singapore come and talk, and we've got Jamie Johnson from Bryden Wood this year coming, and just everyone coming out there that really has done so much for the space. So it's such a great show, and I really appreciate anyone that wants to come and learn about it.
One thing I love about you, Amy, which is, what I want people watching the show to understand is, you pretty much will help anybody that wants help.
That's true.
In this industry. I mean, as long as it's not wasting your time, right? I get that.
Yeah.
But if you truly have people that are interested in learning who to talk to, need a connection, or whatever the case is, that's the one thing that I hear over and over, and have experienced it myself with Amy Marks. And I think you should be congratulated on that, because, collaboration and coming together, convergence, whatever we want to call it, is the only way we're really going to take this to the next level in a much faster way. Yes?
Honestly, like, I see my friends from the construction channel that filmed our Queen of Prefab series out there. I will help anybody. If you send me a note, if I can't help you, I'll find somebody who can, because this is not about being a sliver of the space. This is not about being in a niche. This is about how do we affect change amongst everyone in the larger ecosystem. It's really important that we do that. And I'll again, like, if you need my help and I can help you, I will. If I can't help you, I'll find somebody that can. Please reach out. This is so important. Again, I don't want to keep walking over people on the street that don't have places to live. And we've got to conquer that.
I got to put it up. Henry's just a funny guy. There goes 6 months worth of shoe fetish therapy down the drain. So
I also have steel toe boots, Henry, by the way. I've got some steel toe work boots, by the way. I own about 100 pairs of high heels, but about 4 pairs of construction boots.
Yeah. So, Amy, let's wrap it up with this last question. All right. What is it that you're looking forward to the most in 2022? What is your prediction, if you have one? Where do you see it headed? Where's the groundswell? So if everybody's paying attention to this, where's the groundswell happening right now in your eyes?
I think right now people understand that they need to productize the physicality of the piece part of the whatever it is they're making. But I'm now seeing more and more people understanding the connected data, the workflow, that they need to understand the way in which that product travels across a platform, so that you can actually understand, the inputs and outputs of each of the phases of what you need to build a building at the end, with a combination of these pieces and parts and in situ. I think that's where we're really going to see the biggest change, is in the connected data across the workflows, where people are really starting to map those out so they can repeat those workflows and then automate those workflows, for more productivity. That's where I think we're getting past just the piece itself, and we got to get to productization of the workflow.
Yeah, I agree with you, Amy, and I think you're absolutely right on that, and that's exactly where it's headed. All right, so listen, everybody, that is Amy Marks, Advancing Prefabrication, April 26th through the 29th, Phoenix, Arizona. You definitely want to get your tickets. It is not too late, right, Amy? It's not too late.
You can use the Queen of Prefab discount code, and you get, I think, a 15% discount. You put Queen of Prefab.
I don't know if we're losing Amy or if it's being.
I think it goes. Put in a discount code, and you get a discount. Yeah, it probably was. You put in a discount of Queen of Prefab. I love it. And you'll get a discount.
Put in Queen of Prefab for your discount. Don't miss it. Dave Cooper Live will be there April 27th through the April 27th through the 29th. But the show starts on the 26th. We're going to have a lot of fun. Be sure to connect with us. Let us know you're going to be there so we can all get together and celebrate advancing this industry forward. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, David. Really great, Dave.
Yeah, it was a really, really great show. All right, everybody, we will see you Wednesday at 1 o'clock for some more off-site construction building techniques. You do not want to miss this Wednesday show. I'm Dave Cooper. We will see you next time. Amy, don't go anywhere. I'll come right back to you after the outro. Bye now.